Hi, I'm Brie Masella.
And I'm Lauren Lindgren, and we are going to be going over the multiple intelligence theory by Howard Gardner.
So, what is multiple intelligence to us? In our own definition, this theory states that people have different intellectual strengths that they can possess, and you cannot base intelligence on an IQ test alone. Throughout our research, we came up with a definition that it suggests that traditional notion of intelligence based on IQ testing is far too limited. So, who is Howard Gardner, anyways? Well, he's actually an American cognitive psychologist and author. He's best known for the theory of multiple intelligence. He was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania in 1943. Both of his parents were runaways from the World War II and fled from Germany in 1938. They took Aaron Gardner to preparatory school in Kingston, Pennsylvania. Later in his life, he went to Howard University to study the history and prepare for a career in law. He was determined to do this career in law when first he went to Harvard University, but then throughout his studies, he met a psychiatrist named Erik Erikson and also a sociologist named David Reisman, and they both led him to his interaction on how humans begin to think. And this was kind of the start or the light that light the fuel on how Howard Gardner got into multiple intelligence theory. He earned his bachelor degree in social relations in 1965 and his doctoral degree in development psychology in 1971. He completed his PhD in 1971 and remained at Harvard to teach. And he taught there until 1998. He noticed people were determined intelligence in IQ tests. Intelligence seemed too big to just define by one test. So that's kind of what started on how he began to develop multiple intelligence theory. So, what is a multiple intelligence theory? Essentially, Gardner said that our culture has defined intelligence too narrowly when dealing with IQ tests. He tried to broaden the scope of the human potential beyond the confidence of this IQ score. He questioned the validity of determining intelligence through Gardner suggests that intelligence has to do with the capacity for one, solving problems, and two, fashioning products into a context-rich and naturalist setting. With this, he differed 8 distinct abilities that can be determined through intellect. Some of them the 8 include linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, music, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalist intelligence. The first one we're going to go over today is bodily kinesthetic intelligence, and it's the ability to use one's body skillfully. Some things you can incorporate in the classroom with dealing with bodily and kinesthetic learning would be using role play, so you can have the students kind of reenact certain things in history, drama, building things, and physical movement. Throughout this, they'll be moving their body and they can learn how to use their body skillfully and gain this bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The next one is interpersonal intelligence. And, sorry about that. Okay, and that's the awareness of one's feelings, motives, and desires. So someone who has interpersonal intelligence might, want to do self-work, make their own choices and at a self-paced time. You can do this inside the classroom. You can do silent reading. You can also have it to where they move in stations, but it's not necessarily timed. It can be by one's, they're working by themselves and they're working once they finish or complete a task, they can go and move on to the next one. So it's kind of just dealing with yourself, and by that you gain a skill of interpersonal intelligence. The next one is intrapersonal intelligence, and that's the ability to notice subtle aspects of other people's behavior. So one way you can incorporate this in the class is group projects, or maybe social gatherings or clubs. By doing this, they'll be building relationships and knowing how to make positive relationships with peers, people around them, family members, and their ability to communicate with them as well will be high if they have interpersonal intelligence. All right, and the next one is linguistic intelligence, and that's the ability to use language effectively. Incorporating oral presentations, classroom discussions, and personal journals and debates would be a good way to incorporate linguistic intelligence into the classroom. By doing this, they're kind of considered word smart. So they'll be able to orally communicate with others efficiently. Logical mathematical intelligence, and that's the ability to reason with logic, especially in math and science. Some way you can incorporate this into the classroom. You can do different type of science experiments inside the classroom. Also, you can provide field trips, maybe to a science museum or also a planetarium, somewhere where they can actually physically see math and science kind of working together and they can reason with it logically, would be something to where they had logical mathematical intelligence. All right, next we have musical intelligence, and that's the ability to create, comprehend, and appreciate music. You can do different things in the classroom, like trips to concert, musical instruments, like band, if students are in band, or listening to music. Sometimes whenever you might have your students doing work that isn't too distracting, you can play background music, or as well, you can incorporate music into the classroom. There's different songs that you can actually combine with the class lesson you might be teaching. For example, if you're going over the different 50 states in the United States, there's actually a song that, says every single state, and it might be easier for a student to comprehend the material you're trying to teach through music. All right, the next one's naturalist intelligence, and that's the ability to recognize patterns in nature and differences among various life forms and natural objects. You can do the free video, or like we like to call it, where you kind of just go outside and explore what nature has to offer, look around. It's more of like visually getting the nature experience. You can also have the students interact with different animals. For example, if you have a classroom animal or you bring in maybe your pet, like your dog, and you tie that into the lesson, that could be a good way to have natural intelligence brought into the classroom, as well as nature lessons. So instead of just staying in the class, kind of going outside and seeing what life has to offer that you can incorporate inside your classroom. Okay, and also we have spatial intelligence, and that's the ability to notice detail of what one sees and imagine and manipulate visual objects in one mind. So example of that would be like doing art lessons, Legos, so they can just kind of build things and see how things connect. Imagination games, mazes or puzzles. That's a good way to incorporate someone who has spatial intelligence inside the classroom. All right, and I'm going to show y'all our reference page real quick, and I'm also going to wrap this up into conclusion that basically multiple intelligence theory that Howard Gardner brought to us was just showing how 8 different skills and abilities someone can have versus just one that's offered in an IQ test. And one of the most remarkable things is like teachers and for us to understand is how to incorporate that, because not everyone has the same theory as us, not everyone, or not necessarily the same theory, but the same intelligence as us. And we'd want to try to incorporate that so other students can not only learn and develop and grow their intelligence for that theory, but also maybe they're not sure of, where they fit along the lines. Maybe they've never been experienced to natural intelligence or natural intelligence. They've never been outside and gone through that. And the only way, like whenever we are looking up what intelligence is for someone to actually gain it, is to experience it. Thank you.
Thank you.